There we go. That's got it. I just did my whole intro spiel with no audio. That's always fun. OBS has the ability to record to different tracks, which I do for tutorials, and my mic goes to track 2, but when you stream, it only outputs track 1 to YouTube. So I always fall for that. Yep. Anyways, so can you guys hear me okay? Is it loud enough? It should be good. If you need me to turn it up or anything, let me know. But yeah, what I was saying pretty much is I just did the editor collection update video. And in this live stream, we're just going to be editing that video, but using editor collection, just to kind of give a live demo about how the pack works. A bunch of people were asking for that. And you can kind of get an idea of what it can do and how much time it can save you. So we're going to see the good, the bad, the ugly about it. Got a couple people in chat here. How are we doing today? Go ahead and introduce yourself. But yeah, if I switch over to Davinci Resolve, you're going to see me making all sorts of funny faces today as I have it paused in certain spots. But this is the video or all of the tutorial audio for the video I just posted. And yeah, we just want to edit it. So I think I have the audio coming through. I just want it to be really quiet in the background. So if that's too loud, let me know. I do have to turn it down a little bit for myself. I know that can be strange, like I'm talking, but then past me is also talking. So we want to avoid that if possible. But yeah, so editor collection, it's not really going to assist you in the actual cutting down of the footage. So I've already done all that. That part is boring. But what it does is helps you with all of your graphics and actually animating it and putting that kind of stuff together. So a lot of my favorite tools to use inside of a tutorial are Whip Zoom, Whip Animate, Whip Text, and Whip Cam. Those are probably the ones that I use the most. So something I like doing at the beginning of a lot of videos is having like a little bit of a zoom animation. That's really popular on YouTube right now. So the way that I usually go about doing that is using my Whip Zoom tool. So if I go up to generators, I'm going to find Whip Zoom, that's this one right here, and I will drag that down. A lot of them have a effect version, which you can set right on the clip, or a generator version, which you can use as its own composition. And usually I like doing it this way, because that way I can move it around and duplicate it a lot easier, or extend it over 2 clips. Versus if I did the effect version, let me grab this, it would only apply to this clip, and then I'd have to copy it if I wanted to apply it to that one. So I use a generator a lot of time just to make stuff like that a little bit simpler. But yeah, let's say we want to do a little bit like of a zoom out animation, right, to start the video. Usually what I do is either use the continuous mode or I would turn off the in animation. In this case, I'm going to use continuous, so that means it's going to do the animation over the entire clip here, just like that. And so we'll come to the beginning and we'll zoom the start size in, and then also bring the pivot up, just so my face stays in the center there. And then we can set the end size to be 1, so that way it's going to zoom out. But right now, way too slow. So all we have to do is shrink this down. Let's make it just like 12 frames long. And if I click on this, we can go to the animation tab, and it has the in-out curve. So I'm just going to set this to none at the beginning and expo at the end. So that way it's going to have like, it's going to start super fast and then slow down. So it gives you that kind of that zoom that you see all the time on YouTube now. And we can play with the length until we find something that we like. A lot of times with motion blur, I love using motion blur in my videos, but it is slow. So like if I turn this on here, you can see it'll bring my frames down to about 10 frames a second. So a lot of times I'll just go through at the end and turn all the motion blurs on. But when I'm actually editing, I'll just leave it off so that way it runs a lot faster. Yeah. So what I did in the actual video then is I had some subtitle text pop up. So we could go ahead and do that. I also used, put some text up in the top corner here. So I did time-saving tools. That's what I put up in the final video. So let's say we remake that. A lot of times I like to have text behind myself. So what I did for that is just duplicated the clip just by holding down Alt. And I went to the color page. And if we add a node, Alt-S, I use Magic Mask all the time, and I will just scribble all around the screen here and hit the toggle mask overlay. So now I can see, yep, selected me. Maybe go through and refine it a little bit. That looks pretty good. And then just track it forward and back. Magic Mask just got way faster in the last version. It's awesome. Like I'm streaming right now. I am doing the Magic Mask. All that, like, it takes a ton of processing, and it's just crazy how fast it goes now. Anyways, though, I would turn off that mask overlay, right click and add alpha output, and connect that up like so, and then add just a little bit of a post filter to soften it out. So what that does, looks weird right now because of that zoom, but it'll pretty much just remove the background. So the nice thing about that then is if I grab, like, let's say some text. So if I come down, I've got whip text. That'll be behind me. So I can just do a really cool depth effect that way. If you have DaVinci Resolve Studio, that's a ton of fun to do. But anyways, whenever I do this, I'm gonna trim this clip back just so we don't get that weird overlap look, the ghosting. So maybe we'll have this say editor collection. It did mess up on my ear a little bit there. I'd have to mess with that one some more. So let's do editor collection. And we'll put this one on the top here. So if I grab the position to set it to 0.5, we'll maybe have this one like bounce up. So the way I would do that animation is come over to the Anim tab. We want to animate the position, so I'll come down to that, hit enable, and then we can change the resting position as well as the start position. So if we go to the beginning, I'm going to bring the start position so it's just off the screen. And now if we go in the middle, I'll bring the resting position down to about right there. And I'm actually going to change the size and font there. We'll have to correct that beginning. Oh, that'll be good. Yeah, so just in those couple clicks now, we have just a simple slide up animation, but I want to make it a little more fun. So we're going to come to the in and out curve. We're going to set this to none, and then we're going to set the last one to elastic. So what that does is it allows us to create like an elastic effect. For some reason, it doesn't really work good if you have the in value set to anything other than none, because there's not enough time for the elastic to work. It just looks like a normal like expo curve or something. So anyways, I always set it to none and then elastic. So now we have that little animation up, and then I think I'll just have it zoom out at the end. So if I split this, I'll delete the last half. And the really cool thing about this is we now have the option for global or individual animations. So if you saw like the highlight video for it, I have the new Anim engine. So what that allows you to do is you can customize in and out animation as well as the length and the offset. So if I customize the offset, it'll take 15 frames before it actually starts the animation. Right now this clip's not long enough, so it can't do it. There we go. But I'm gonna bring this down. You can also switch it to custom. So I can change the in animation separate from the out animation. Before you could not do that. So that's really cool because there's a lot of times you want it to come up slow and then disappear fast, or whatever the case might be. But in this situation, if we wanted to slide up but then zoom down at the end, what we can do, I'm just going to put this back unlinked, we can set it to individual animations. So under the position, it's going to put its own anim engine. So I can set the in and out back to none and then elastic, and I will turn off the out animation. So now what it's going to do, it's going to slide up, and then it's just going to stay up. It's not going to do anything at the end. But that way, we can come to the size control. We can enable that one, and then we'll turn off the in animation. So what that'll do, it's going to slide up just like before, and then at the end, it's going to zoom down. So super easy to create animations like that. I've had a lot of fun editing now that I have all this customization. Yep, so that'll slide up, zoom down. Again, I usually do motion blur at the end. All of them do have the intelligent motion blur, so it only does motion blur when it's actually animating, so that's really nice. I'm going to shrink down the size animation just to make that go faster, and then trim this back. I think I'm going to have it go right there. Can you guys hear the audio of me talking in the tutorial okay? That way you have like the context of what I'm, what the text is for. But now what we're going to do is put time saving up here. So let's grab another version of whip text, and I want this one to be below the clip, so that way it shows up behind me. So if I go to whip text, we're going to do time saving. And a really cool thing, we can change the viewer overlay to fusion overlay. So that way I can click in here and just grab, move the text around wherever I want it. Yeah, so let's say we do time saving. We're going to set this to extra bold. That's my favorite font. And then we also have the option for different styles. So I can add a outline around it, or I can do a bar. So it has, you know, like a black bar, different color bar. You can't hear the audio. Okay, it must just be too quiet. Unless that's not setting to the right track. All right, how's this? I designed EditorCollection as a set of time-saving tools for Davinci Resolve. This update contains... We'll see if that works. It's that same issue that my mic audio wasn't coming through at first. All right, but anyways, yeah, so we can add the bar. You can change this to word or line, so that way it fills the entire thing. Change the color, the corner radius, all that fun stuff. I'm gonna set this back to outline and just give it kind of a red outline. Maybe bring the width up a little bit. And we can also set the outline style to point or rounded. I usually like doing point. So there we go. So we have time saving popping up. And now is where we can get into the really fun animations. So let's sometimes the fonts just look weird with outlines, and that kind of bothers me. Let's do that. Okay. So we're going to use a follower animation on this one. Which you can enable just with one button, but a lot of times it's easier to animate it without the follower because the follower is slow in Davinci. I'm just going to have this kind of like rotate in. So let's do rotate and enable that. If we enable pitch and yaw controls, it does slow it down a little bit sometimes. Whip text is usually good about it. Whip animate, it can go a little bit slower just because of Davinci's process. A little annoying. Hopefully they'll fix that eventually. But yeah, so we enable pitch and yaw. We can now change it to be a global, character, or a word level. So you can change, you know, where the rotate is coming from. I'm going to leave it on character. I'm going to set the start angle to 0, so that way nothing is happening. And then using the yaw, maybe not. Let's do pitch. Yeah, the pitch, I'm going to just have that rotate down. Actually, I'm going to have it rotate back. And we can also change the perspective to change how much it actually rotates. Time saving tools for Davinci. But yeah, so now it's just going to kind of flip up. I think it'd also be cool to add a little bit of a scale animation. We don't need it to be the entire thing, or like zoom all the way down. Time saving tools for Davinci Resolve. Time saving tools. All right, so we're going to start with that. Whenever you're working with an outline and you don't have or anytime you're working with rotate, it's hard to get the text to fully disappear at the beginning. So a lot of times I like to use that individual animation again. So if I switch it back to individual and come down to opacity, we'll go ahead and enable that, and we'll just bring the anim length down so it fades in really quick. For Davinci Resolve. Just like that. Time saving tools for Davinci Resolve. Perfect. Time saving tools for Davinci Resolve. All right, once we have that though, we can come up here to follower. We're going to enable that. We're just going to keep it left to right. And now just so that one click, it's going to take that animation with the opacity, the rotation, the zoom. And like I said, goes a little bit slower. But yeah, now we have that animation coming up. So really cool. Saving tools for Davinci Resolve. So we have time saving come up. We can maybe make this all go a little bit faster. We'll just have to come down to the animation links and bring this down. Tyler, how we doing? Welcome to the stream. Doing some cool animation here with EditorCollection. All right, so we got that animating up. I'm gonna move the position up a little bit as well.
Davinci Resolve. This update.
Right when I start going into the next point, then I want to animate it out. So we're gonna go ahead and split this.
This update
and we'll just have it do the same animation. Under the follower, it has a different, you can customize the end order, so I'll just have it do right to left, so that way it goes backwards, because it flips the animation at the end. But yeah, so we got that coming up, and then it'll go down. And a lot of times with doing a follower, I'll just right click on it and do render in place. I'll set it to be QuickTime and DNxHR, so that way it'll preserve the alpha channel. But that way I can get a lot faster performance. So it takes 20 seconds to render in place. And then it's not stuttering the rest of the clip. All right, so we got that. Now we can look at the entire thing.
EditorCollection is a set of time-saving tools.
It's going to get a little stuck up.
Davinci Resolve. This update continues.
There. All right, so we got that coming up, going down. It does look a little static here. So maybe I will decompose and we can add some sort of middle animation. So if we go to the middle tab, we can enable that. It has a bunch of stuff that we can do now. Let's try a wave. Let's turn the wave animation on. And that's just gonna kind of go back and forth a little bit. Maybe bring down the scale, or no, bring up the scale, bring down the intensity. Yeah, let's try that. And I'll just do the render in place again, just so we get fast performance. Tired of answering questions in the server, decided to come learn something instead. Hey, there you go. Hey, send them this way. If you guys have any questions about EditorCollection or have an idea, something you want me to try, let me know. That's kind of the goal of this, just to, demonstrate what it's capable about. So any questions would be awesome. Yeah, so now we have that come up. It's got that little wave animation. It's very subtle since it's just a short clip, but just adds a little something in the middle there. But yeah, so we got that coming up. Now I also want to put tools at the bottom. So I'll grab another version of whip text. We'll type in tools, maybe do this one all capital. I'll set this one to be light. And I'm also just gonna add that wave animation right away and see if we can match this up. Brought that up. Yeah, there we go. That way they kind of have the same wave animation. We can mimic it.
Time-saving tools for Davinci.
All right, and then this one I think we'll just have it all scale up, but also like come into focus. That's another really cool animation I like doing. So we'll go animation, we'll come down to size, enable that one. So now it's just gonna zoom up, super easy. And then also come down to blur, enable that, and bring the start blur down a little bit. Yep, so it comes into focus. And then what we can do is just offset this a little bit, so that way we have
tools for Davinci Resolve. This time-saving tools for
maybe we want to shift both of these over.
Is a set of time-saving tools for Davinci Resolve. This update.
Yep, so we have that pop up, does some cool animations, and then goes back down. Inside of the style, we also have the option to add a drop shadow, super easy. So like some text like this, I usually add a drop shadow on, just customize these controls a little bit. I usually like having a soft shadow. You can just bring the softness all the way down and then just use the shadow offset like that. But usually I just like doing the diffuse shadow look. Yep, so that's really cool. Once that's done, I also brought in the Davinci Resolve logo over here in the video. So let me go ahead and grab that. Discord ping incoming. I think it's in the streamer mode, so I won't be able to hear it. So don't worry about it. Alright, I gotta find this logo now. Davinci Resolve. Alright. So I've got the logo here, so I'm going to have this pop up over in the side next to where my microphone stand is. And with this one, we can't use whip text to animate it because it's not text. So what we're going to use is whip animate, which is under effects, and it's the top one right here, so I'll just drag that onto it. Nothing changes at first. Just like whip text, it just has no animations to start. That way you just have a blank slate. But we can just customize the position. We'll put it in its final resting state right away. Let's say stick it right about there.
This update
And what I want to do, a lot of times I like doing the middle animations before doing the standard animations. That way you can see it in its entirety. So what I'm going to do is come down to middle, enable that, and I just want to do a rotation throughout the whole thing. So if I enable this using the start angle, I'm just going to bring this, let's say about 7 degrees that way, and then on the end angle do it 7 degrees the other way, and then just remove the easing entirely just by switching it to linear. So now I just have a little bit of a rotation throughout the whole thing, just like that. Okay. Now let's go back to the control spot. So we're going to actually do the animation, and we're going to do 2 steps for this one using the individual animation. And I'll show you why, but it's nice if you can think ahead. That way you're not spending time customizing all the global settings when you're not actually going to use it. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to slide onto the screen. So it's going to slide on. Well, it's actually going to start small. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to have it like slide up, and then once it gets there, it's going to scale up just a little bit like that. And then at the end, it's gonna slide off. It's not gonna scale down. So let's actually do that. So we'll keep it at this size. This is what it'll start at, and then we'll switch to individual animations. Come down to position and enable a position. So if we go to the beginning, I'm just gonna grab this point and move it right off the screen like so. And now it's just going to slide up. And I think we'll just make this a little bit faster. We'll set the in to be sine and then the out to be an expo.
Resolve. This update continues. Resolve. This update continues.
Actually, a circ would be cool.
This update continues.
Or I'm sorry, back.
Resolve.
So it overshoots a little bit. There we go.
Resolve. This update continues to deliver.
All right, then I'll come to zoom, enable that one, and we're going to use the animation offset just by a couple of frames. And I'm going to take the resting size here. Copy, paste. And then in the middle, I will bring that up to the final size there. All right, so now it's gonna slide up and just kind of do a cool animation like that.
Resolve. This update continues to deliver.
Let's do sign and expo, make that. A lot of it's just playing around with the animation links until you get something that looks good. What I'm going to do is turn off the out animation for the zoom, since I don't want it to do that.
Continues to deliver on that promise.
Alright, so we have it come up. It's going to rotate a little bit, and then it's going to slide down. Under position, I'm going to uncheck mirror out. And for the end animation, I'm just going to copy that and just slide it off to the side. Put it right there.
Deliver on that promise. What? It does.
Yep, so then it just kind of shoots off to the side, just like that. Alright, these tools work on PNG videos, SVG files. Yep, so this right here is like a PNG. It's a TIFF file, so pretty much the same thing. And you can see like I'm getting pretty good performance, especially considering I have Magic Mask going on, 2 streams of video, or actually 3 streams and then another Fusion title. So they work pretty well. With SVG files, oh here looks like PNG videos, yes. SVG files can only be imported natively to Fusion. Yeah, yep. This isn't really going to help with your SVG animations. This is going to be good for like PNGs, like this logo here. What you can always do is, I was going to say use a higher resolution logo, but Davinci's weird about that sometimes. If you're wanting to actually animate SVGs, you'll want to just do it completely in Fusion. There's not really any edit page tools to be able to do that. But if you just have a PNG logo, you can see how easy it was to get this pretty cool animation that would normally take 10-15 minutes to do with keyframes. And with this one too, we can just go up to effects and add something like a drop shadow right away. All right, so from the beginning, we have that little
I designed-
zoom out. Oh,
An editor collection is a
start over.
I designed
Zoom
Editor
out,
Collection as a
text
set of
comes up,
time-saving tools.
time-saving
DaVinci
tools
Resolve.
comes up,
This
and then
update
we have
continues
DaVinci Resolve come up. So I'm not getting perfect performance, but it's still fine
This
to work
update
with.
continues to deliver
This is not really timed right.
DaVinci Resolve.
This is where I talk about DaVinci Resolve, so I'm just going to slide this over.
For DaVinci Resolve. This update continues to deliver on that promise. But it doesn't. This update continues to deliver on that promise.
Maybe have this go out with all the other stuff.
This update continues to deliver on that
Yeah,
promise.
there we go. That looks good. So we have all those animations right there.
Promise. But it doesn't stop there.
All right. Another thing I like doing
What?
is like your punch-ins when you zoom in. That way you can kind of hide the jump cuts a little bit. And I use whip zoom for that. So I will find my whip zoom generator. I'll pop that down. And what I do is I take the pivot point. I just put it right on my eyes like that. And then I usually do anywhere from 1.1 to 1.2 as far as zooming in. And the goal with these is you want the eye lines to match up. So if we go to the settings tab up here, we can just bring down the opacity. And you can see that while they're farther apart technically, the level's the same. That way when you do a jump cut, the viewer's still looking at your eyes and they don't have to move to a different spot on the screen. So that's all part of making it a little bit more seamless. So bring that opacity back up. And since I don't want to animate it in at the beginning, I'm just going to go to the animation tab, turn both of those off. And so now it just has that nice punch-in animation. And the nice thing about doing it this way, as opposed to just like zooming in on the clip, is now I can just duplicate it just by holding Alt. Or if I want, I can just come in and enable the out animation. So maybe halfway through here, it zooms out like that. So again, it's made just to save you a ton of time. Just make little repetitive effects like this just a lot easier, because I do these punch-ins all the time in my videos. So let's go ahead and watch this.
But it doesn't stop there. A tool can save you time, but so can copying and pasting the same basic effect. I've added even more custom.
In this case, I'm just going to let this extend throughout the whole thing.
It doesn't stop there. A tool can save you time, but so can copying and pasting the same basic effect.
I don't remember what I did here for graphics, so I'm pretty much saying that like a tool can save you time, but you can also it doesn't really do you much good if it's just the same thing over and over and over again. So in this new update, I've really focused on customization, so that way you can save time, but you can get a really unique result every time as well. So let's see, how can we actually demo that?
Tool can save you time, but so can copying and pasting the same basic effect.
I'm not really sure of a good way. I think that's why I just kind of let it breathe in the actual video. Let me get that pulled up just so I can reference it now. All right, let's see. View on YouTube.
I designed Editor Collection as a set of time-saving tools for DaVinci Resolve.
Oh yeah, I used Whip Chapter to bring up some chapter markers. So if I go to titles and come down here, fit that to view. Whip Chapter has been updated, so now it has up to 16 inputs. This is probably the heaviest tool out there. There's just a lot going on in the background. But let's say we set this to 3 labels, which is what I did. And I just put bullet points of what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And what happened here? Something's... Looks a lot more zoomed in. Maybe not.
But it doesn't stop there.
I think I'm just going crazy. Okay. Anyways, inside of Whip Chapter here, I just did some talking points. So I did new tools. That's the first thing I'm going to talk about. Label 2 is going to be the Anim Engine. And then finally, tool updates. Or new features. So that's the nice thing about Whip Chapter. I can just set the labels. It's going to space them all perfectly. I can easily put in the actual label text, the contents of it. I can align it to any of the sides. So I can put it top, left, right, and I can just use this padding to change where it's at. I'm just going to leave it at the bottom. And then over in the style, if I click in the right spot, we can customize everything. So I can change how big this text is. Let's put it something like that. I can change its actual position. So let's bring that up a little bit more, and then bring the center Y down. There we go. And then the shape text, so I can change, you know, how this is displayed between all of these different options here. So I'm just going to I'll use numbers for this example. And you can choose between solid and cutout. So if I do cutout, you'll be able to see whatever is behind this object. So this isn't the best example of that. Here, let's set this to bold. You might be able to see it a little bit better. You can kind of see my microphone inside of the text. There's not enough motion down there for it to really matter. So I'm just going to set this back to solid. So we have 1, 2, 3. We can also change the shape style. So, oh, that's actually a bug right there. It doesn't have the normal color control for changing it. Okay, yeah, if we enable a gradient, we can change the color of it. I'll get that fixed. But yeah, so let's maybe make the first part like a nice white, and then the end part gray. Do something like that. We'll change this text to be white. And then just make all this a lot darker. Oh, that's the wrong one. Click on that one, we'll make it darker. There we go. And we can also enable an outline. So with the outline, let's maybe do the opposite. We'll make the top left dark and then the bottom one a little bit brighter. There we go. So we can just kind of create a cool little graphic there. And we can also change the shape size. So let's bring that up as well as the text size. Oh, I got a Adobe Creative Cloud update. I do use Adobe products sometimes. Some people don't like that in the Resolve community. All right. Yep, so we'd have those things come up like so. That's the wrong one. Awesome. Yeah, so a lot of that's new features in this, being able to add a gradient, really customize all of that. But this is the same as the last one, except now it has the anim engine. But you can really customize how these animate. So by default, it does one at a time. But you can also change the overlap here. So if I put this in the middle, 0 means it's sequential, so one at a time. And if I set this to 1, they're all going to animate at exactly the same time. But the nice thing about this is I can bring this like halfway down, so that way they their animation overlaps.
The tool can save you time, but
so really cool effect like that, and then it'll animate off at the end.
I've added.
So let's see how this looks.
It doesn't stop there. A tool can save you time, but so can copying and pasting the same basic effect.
Yep, so that'll work. We'll just leave it as that. And again, since this whip chapter is a little bit of a heavier tool, you can just right click on it, render in place. Always do just the QuickTime DNxHR. That way it still has the alpha, and it doesn't, if you do MP4, it'll just black out everything else on your image. So you want to preserve that transparency. All right, question not related to the tools, but maybe it could become one of the tools for guides. Could it be made with the grid tool? The emoji button in my chat's blocking the rest of it. So, made with the grid tool. Are you saying like the shapes on here, like more than just like a circle or square? Like you could make a star or something? Because that would be possible, actually. Yeah, if that's the case, let me know. I could definitely add that when I get in there and fix the issue. Speaking of, I'm going to write that down. Whip chapter. No color control. You can do it with gradients though, so as long as you just set both the gradient colors to the same, you'll still get the solid one. But anyways, now we have that come up.
A tool can save you time, but so can copying and pasting the same basic effect.
Then that'll come down.
More customization and control across the board, allowing the tools to create.
I think with this one then I used whip panel, so I was just trying to kind of show off all of the features. So whip panel, if we go to generators, this allows us to put something on the side of the screen, just like that. So I'll extend that so it matches. With this one, you can set it to the top, the bottom, the left, or the right. You can put it on any side. For some reason, Davinci Resolve does not like these buttons. So if you just switch pages, it'll make them the right size. But for some reason, it squishes that first button a lot. Yeah, so if we have it on the right side of the screen, we can change the overlap as to depending on how much text we have or how much we still need to fit in the video. But then let's just set that back. You can also reframe the media. So you can move that around, you can change the size. And then we can also add some text. So right now it's just on the simple text. So we can come down here, we can change it. We can also do simple with a source. So down at the bottom, just add a website or something. It doesn't have to be a source. You can just add some text down there. We can also do list. So it just adds a title, or list plus source. And that changes the drop downs we have down here, so that way we can customize each of them. So let's say we do this, and then we'll do update features. Oh no. There we go. Update features. And we'll just stick this kind of up at the top for right now. And if we come down to the divider down here, we'll also move this one up. And if we want, we can change the width. Maybe bring the line thickness down a little bit. Yeah, something like that. Then we could come to the source text and, nope, not the source, the list text, and then just add in all these features. So yeah, we have, what do I say here?
We added even more customization and control across the board, allowing the tool.
All right, so let's do like new anim engine. That's one of the biggest features of this new one. Cleaner user interfaces. More customization, faster performance. Trying to think of what else. Let's just say we'll keep it with that for right now, but then we can move this up. I'm actually going to bring it right down here, and what I want to do, not that one, leave that like so. Come down to the divider, and I'll bring this down, and that way we can just kind of make it look like it's all centered. There we go. And we'll just leave the source as WIP templates down there because that's where all this is coming from. But then we can also come to the panel background. We can just change this to any color. Just like so. We'll just keep that as a nice dark gray. Under shadow controls, we can change the shadow that extends over into the video clip. Sometimes it's cool to make this like a white. That way it looks like it's kind of glowing a little bit. I like doing that. Or you can just completely disable it, get a really 2D flat look. I like leaving that on. Under Anim Engine, we have the option to enable parallax. So right now, the text is going to move at the same speed as the panel itself, just like that. But if you do parallax, it's going to move at half the speed. So the text ends right here instead of ending all the way back here. So that's another really cool one.
Added even more customization.
Just in like that. All right. Then we have the anim engine down here, so we can change the length of all the animations, customize the out animation, all of that fun stuff. But the really cool thing about this one too is if these built-in text layouts or the background controls aren't enough, you can make your own. So if you go to the Fusion page, it has its own input on here. So if you switch the input to Fusion, it's going to get rid of the text. It'll just keep that default background color. But then I could grab, let's say, a background node. I could connect this up, and now I can totally change the color. I can input whatever I want. It's just going to center it inside the panel. So let's say I had a screenshot or something that I wanted to display. Let's do this one. I can merge that up like so. Just use this merge to make it a little bit bigger so that way it fits. Bring that down. This is for the whip grid tool. Now just like that, we can put an image in the panel. So it'll just slide over just like so. And you could build in animations that you could put a video there, whatever you want. Again, it's meant to have a lot of customization. Just make all the animation tasks in the part of building the panel just so much easier. And as a bonus thing, what I like to do in this is go to Effects, come down to Templates, Edit, Generators, and grab the whip background tool. Just add that in as a node so I can use whip background inside a whip panel. That'll slow it down a little bit because it's two tools running at once, but like it looks really cool. So, yep, that's whip panel. Let's switch this back to text. That way it has all that stuff we put in. And I'm just gonna delete those extra nodes.
Even more customization and control.
Yep, so that slides over
Across the board, allowing the tools to create unique looks and keep up with your creativity. In summary, the update includes 2 new tools. One to create custom grid layouts with up to 6.
Yep, so at this point I went ahead and demoed whip grid, like had that apply. I'm not going to do that because that one has a lot of controls. I do have a full tutorial of that already on my website, so definitely check that one out. But I'm trying to think of what else I want to really go over here real quick inside the video. Let's see. I was planning on doing like a hour and a half stream, so I don't want to go too long. This got all messed up now. All right. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about it, you know, just let me know. And if you have any feature requests, that's what I really want to know, because I want to make this as helpful as possible. So I can make it do everything I want it to, but if you guys have some stuff as well, that'd be awesome.
Allowing the tools to create unique looks and keep up with. We added even more customization and control across the board, allowing the tools to create video. In summary, the update includes 2 new tools. One to create custom.
All right, so let's do this. Let's grab in the whip background. Let's put that down here and mess around with this one a little bit. So again, the one button breaks for some reason. I mean, it still works, but yeah, the size is weird. So yeah, you can do none, so that way there's no background, so you can overlay whatever you want over an existing background. We can also set this to be normal, so now it has solid, a gradient, or a radial gradient all built in there, and you can just use the on-screen controls to move this around. You know, it makes it super easy. And then we can just come down here and change all of the color settings just like so. So I like making that like a gray, and then making the one like a grayish blue, and then just having some sort of gradient like that. Then if we go to overlay, we can switch between grid or lines. Let's do grid in this case, and we have a couple different shapes to choose from. So we have square, circle, or cross. And I would use, yeah, circle is usually my favorite, but just to show you, like we have a cross built in, square, or circle. So if we do circle, I'm going to bring the shape size down a ways, and then we can also change the spacing. So let's do something like that for right now. We have a new spacing mode called staggered. So instead of them all being perfectly aligned, it'll add one in between. That way they're, you know, a little bit offset. And if we're doing this, I'm going to bring the shape spacing up some more. Then we can change the overlay color. And you can use a gradient for this if you'd like, but you can just change the color of those dots. I'll bring it down to something like that. It's kind of a grayish color. And we can also customize the displace, or just turn it off if you'd like. And so if we bring up the intensity or the scale, it'll customize how it actually looks.
One to create custom grid
and it's just all animated right by default. We have the option for a glow. That can be kind of cool. That's actually what I did for. I think my audio might have disappeared there, but yeah, on the waiting screen I use whip background to do it. I'm gonna cut to that again, so you can just kind of see that cool pattern. But anyways, we also have the option for film grain. I just have that on by default because I just think it adds such a nice texture, and I love having it in all the backgrounds. Under mask, we have the option to add a rectangle mask, just like that. We can change the border width to make it match the circles, change the rectangle, as well as the color down here. And we can also do blob. Now blob's my favorite. That's the one that I used in that waiting screen. And in this case, I'm going to bring the overlay color back up. But now it just only shows like certain regions, and that moves around with the grid moving around. So you can do some really cool stuff with that one. William Justice, how we doing? Thanks for stopping by. New updates look great. Glad to hear it. Been a lot of fun to make, that's for sure. And I did see your message the other day. I just forgot to respond to it, so I'll try and get back to you this afternoon.
To create custom grid layout.
But anyways, so we have whip background here. Let's say we want to animate this on. The way I would do that is just using whip animate. So I always have whip animate pinned in my favorites just because I use it so much. So I can just drag it from right there over onto whip background. And then I'm going to come to, let's see, what do we want to do? Let's just do a slide up animation. So if we enable position, we'll set the start position to be -5. That means it's going to go all the way off the screen.
1 to create custom grid layout.
Actually, no, I'm wrong on that. This needs to be at -0.5, not -5. I typed that wrong. So now it's just going to slide up. And we can just leave it there for a while, and then at the end it'll slide back down.
1 to create custom grid layouts.
So then we could grab some text. If we come down to titles, grab that. We can add some stuff here. So maybe make a title slide. So whip grid, that's what we're talking about in this one. We could put that one up at the top and then maybe add a bunch of features down there, animate them all on. We've looked at animating the whip text tool, so that one's pretty easy. The other animation that we could do here that I like, if I come to effects, I'm just going to delete whip animate, is putting the video on top of the background here. Okay, so that's
Tools.
You're not going to be able to see it at first.
1 to create custom.
But what we can do now is come to effects and grab my whip cam, so that'll put the camera down in the bottom corner. And this one I focused a lot on updating because a lot of people said it was a little heavy, and I noticed that editing as well. So it does render a lot faster now, which is awesome. But that way, it's just going to animate down, and then maybe I could show a picture of whip grid, like the box or some features or a demo of it or something like that. But yeah, so you can have that zoomed down. In the inspector here, the UI has been cleaned up, so now you can just hit any of these buttons, and top left is going to do the top left. Top right button is going to go to the top right. It's been laid out in a way that is as simple as possible. You can even put it in the center now. Then we can change the size of it, the padding. If you just leave it by default, that's what I use in my videos, so you can copy the same style. But we can also change the mask shape. So do a rectangle, you can add some corner radius, do a circle. And the new thing is that you can actually do a outline. So we can enable an outline just like that. Didn't have that before. Under reframe, we can change the size of that. So that way I'm centered. And under animation, we can control all that as well.
1 to create custom grid layouts. With up to
So there we go, puts you down in the bottom corner. The thing I like doing about this one, which I talk about in the actual tutorial for it, if you turn off the in and out animations, you can just copy this clip. And if you click on another clip, do Alt-V, and you can paste attributes. So I can paste just the fusion effects, and now it's just going to put that camera effect on there. So what I'll do is I'll select like all the videos and I'll paste that effect. That way I don't have to re-customize it every single time. But let's go ahead and delete it there because we don't need it.
1
Yeah.
to create custom.
And then let's turn on those animations again.
1 to create custom grid layouts.
You should add in the whip chapter just bullet points without text. And then put longer text inside of each of the labels. Okay, so like let's see here, let me grab one. Because right now you can do it just labels with no text if you like. You just can't really customize that label text. No, that's the wrong one. Whip chapter, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, right now, like if you don't want any text, you can either delete it in all of these, or just come to label text and bring the size all the way down. So that way you can just have each of the bullet points. But like actually putting text inside of these, yeah, it's possible. The thing is, it's hard to fit stuff in there, and you want all of them to be the same size and symmetrical. Is that kind of what you're thinking? Like you could change the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to, like you could write something in each of those. I could certainly mess around with it a little bit. All right, let's see.
Animation just
Another
won't click.
thing,
There is even a light version in.
I don't really have it in the context of this video, but a lot of times when I am doing a screen recording, and let me just grab a screen recording to show people like kind of how I work here. All right, so these are from some of the tutorials for Editor Collection. All right, so I'm messing with whip background right now. So yeah, let's say I was, you know, using the, or this is what I was doing in the tutorial. What I'm gonna do is just drag all of this up, stick it down below.
Second tool allows you to easily.
And then what I would usually do is copy something that has that camera effect on it, and then select the first one, Alt V, paste that on. So now this one animates down, and then I would turn off these animations and copy it again, and then just flip the in animation on.
Second tool allows you to easily work with 360.
Because then what I can do is just select all these clips, do Alt V, paste those fusion effects, and now these are just going to stay down in the corner for the entirety of that.
Package it all
so
together
that's
into
nice.
the Anim engine.
But then yeah, let's take a look at a couple of the other tools. So whip zoom was also really designed to be used in this context. So if I grab whip zoom, let's say I want to look at something in the
Previously, you had to go to
in the inspector. Something's popping up there. Okay.
Work with 360.
So this zooms in. Let's set the pivot to be up in the top right. So I'll set 1-1 for the pivot controls.
Work with 360
so that's going to zoom in just like that.
Edit page of Davinci.
But let's say you want to move this around. So instead of animating this pivot control, because that's annoying, and the whole goal of this is to get rid of keyframes as much as possible, I would come into the animation, turn off the out animation, and then split the clip wherever I want it to start moving. And then that's where whip pivot would come in. So in this case, on whip zoom, I want to go to the start, and I want to copy the end values. So that's going to copy the pivot as well as the end size. So where it's at right now. Then on the whip pivot tool, I want to paste that to the start control. So if I just do paste start, now these are going to be in the exact same spot. That means I can take the end size and I can just move this anywhere that I'd like. That's the start size. Okay, can just move the end size around just like so. So it zooms in,
with 360 photos and videos.
it'll stay there, and then it'll move over.
Previously, you had to go to Fusion, and that
And the reason I added those buttons is because before what you'd have to do is come into whip zoom, you'd have to copy the pivot, paste it in here, copy the X pivot, or the Y pivot, paste it in there, copy the size, and it was a lot of work. So just having these buttons make it so much easier. And I can do the same thing in reverse. Whip pivot, I'm going to turn off the out animation. I'm going to grab another version of whip zoom. And I'm going to come here, I'm going to do copy the end. And in whip zoom, I'm going to paste it to the end. And the end is like the middle section. So if I paste it to the end, I will come to animation, turn off the in animation. And that way, what I can do is I can shrink this down. So it's going to zoom in here.
360 photos.
It's going to pan over.
You had to go to
and
Fusion,
then it's going to zoom out.
Wasn't
So just with those 3 clips, it's super easy to do. And the nice thing that they're all in their own compositions is I could easily change the timings of all of it just by doing something like that. Versus if it's all in one effect, it's really hard to do that, especially if you run into a situation where there's like a cut in a clip. That totally messes it up. But using this, it really doesn't matter how many cuts or if you have different clips down below, it'll just apply it to whatever you put down there. Yep, so we got that part. Another really cool thing is a whip highlight tool. This is like the first one that I worked on in Editor Collection. I actually made a video about it shortly before the Editor Collection pack went live, and this one is available in the free version, so that's a plus. What this one allows you to do, you can select any region, just like so, and I always zoom in to select it, that way I get the perfect selection. Let's say I select all of that. I can turn off the preview mode, and now by default it's on the center and focus mode. I can also just do scale and focus, so that way it just zooms it up. And if I come down to window 1, I have the auto pivot selector, so I can change where I want to set the pivot point to. So in this case, I want it to come from the top right so nothing disappears off on the side of the screen. So I'll just hit set. It's going to move that pivot point up to the top. And now that scale animation will just be based on where that pivot point's at. And the nice thing about this version is now I can set it up to 4 windows. So let's say I switch it back to center and focus and I add in 3 windows. Okay, I'm going to turn the preview mode back on. That way I can select it really quick here. Let's select this spot. And then down here, let's select the time code. How's that sound? There we go. All right. So I select all those, preview off. Now it's just gonna scale all these up, and I can come in and customize where they end up as well as what their size is. So I can scale all these up. I can move them around, and the really cool thing is these have the anim engine built in, so I can do individual animations, and I can offset them. So if I just add a little bit of an offset to each of these. If we watch this, I'm just going to scrub through. The first one will come up, then the second one will come up, then the third one will come up. So you can really stagger all these animations, do a lot of cool stuff with that, all in just the one effect. So that's awesome. Is it possible to make a guide with the grid tool? I would like to have a simple crosshair tool that is just made with one horizontal and one vertical line, like an eye level tool. Are you saying just to create like a crosshair like in the view? Also, if it could be re-aimed with just one Fusion viewer tool, that would be a helpful guide target. Trying to think, yeah. How are you doing, Simon? Better late than never, right? Hey, Tyler was in here before. Yeah. So a guide with the grid tool. Are you talking about whip grid like that? You can use multiple videos and, you know, combine them all together. Here, I gotta, yeah, just pull the website up. This one. Where is it? Right there. You can do multiple grids. All right, yep, so we have that highlight effect, and like if you want them to all animate off at the same time, that's when you can switch it to these custom animations. So on the in, we could have an offset for each of these. So they animate like one at a time at the beginning, but then at the end, they just all animate off together. So that's a really powerful thing about the anim engine right there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. I'll see if we have any more questions and figure that stuff out. But yeah, just kind of wanted to show like how I go about using it in the context of editing like a YouTube video. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. Something I've been told and thought would be cool is to do like Vox style animations, because there's a lot of tools in EditorCollection that can achieve that, like the marker tool to highlight text just using animate and text. So maybe I'll do that eventually. That'd be kind of cool. I think I'll leave this video public. That way people can just kind of see like how it's actually used. Yeah. So I mean the crosshair you said just to be a visual guide on the top of the image. Okay, so like it maybe like its own effect, like a whip crosshair type thing. So that way you could. I'm just gonna use this as an example. This is going to be a very pretty effect here. Something like that. So you can make like a little crosshair that you can then move around the screen. But then also have a vertical version of it. Let's do this. Rotate 90. There. So you can make yourself a crosshair. but all in one tool, so that way you could like grab a position right here and it automatically draws the lines. Let's do it for fun quick. If that's what you're looking for. If I grab a background, let's make this white. And then we'll grab one rectangle. We're just going to set that to be a width of 1. He said yes. All right, I'm going to make you a tool real quick. If you right click on a tool, this is some expression stuff here. You can hit edit controls, and we're just going to do crosshair selector. Is it with the O, selector? No. Man, this is bad. You can tell I need to be done with the stream. We're just going to do a crosshair position. There we go. Set it to point. We'll put it under the color tab, offset, and crosshair. So if you select all those, it'll create just your normal point control. And what we're going to do with this one, we don't need to move it back and forth at all. We just need to move it up and down on the y-axis. So we're going to do expression. And in the Y one, I'm going to do background 1 dot crosshair position. That needs to be capital P. Dot Y. So now it's going to link. So now when I move this around, it'll move it up and down. I'm also going to add a control, do crosshair width. Put that in color as well. Do a slider. You can leave that animated. That doesn't matter. And set a range of 0 to 0.1. So if I come to the height on this one, I'm going to connect it to that. So background 1 dot crosshair width. And now we can change the size of it just like so. Did you miss much? Yeah, we did a bunch of stuff here. You can always go back and rewatch it. But we just kind of use EditorCollection to recreate the video I published today. And now we're just doing a little fun project to make a crosshair like this, just to line stuff up. So anyways, back in the Fusion composition, right now we have it so we can move this one around and then also change the width and color of it. So what we're going to do is just add in another rectangle. I'm going to connect the width to that, so we're going to do background 1 dot crosshair width. And this isn't going to be exactly the same size because we're working in 16 by 9. So if I multiply this by 16 divided by 9, oh, that's backwards. Multiply it by 9 divided by 16, it's going to make it so that they're the same width. That's your fun math stuff. We'll bring the height all the way up and then set the center X to be background 1 dot crosshair position dot X. So now we can move this around anywhere that you want. We have the crosshair width as well as the color. So let's macro create width crosshair. I'm going to send out those 4 color channels as well as those 2 controls. Generators. I'll send this out to anyone who wants it. Let's do that. And just to show you the code side of it here real quick, if you open up a setting file, this is how it's stored. And we have the crosshair position and width right here. I'm just going to select both of these and move them up to the top. That way those appear first. And if I just save it, let's see if Davinci Resolve has loaded it yet. If I scroll down, doesn't look like it has. You might have to restart for it. Let's see if it'll load. It's in the generators folder. I don't think it wants to show up. Anyways, though, I'm just going to delete that. this is, uh-oh. Here, if I just drag it in, this is what it'll look like, and all those are on the wrong page. Let's go back and fix that. If we delete the page control here, and also scroll down, delete the page here, it'll just put it on the custom page. This is all the nitty-gritty of expressions and preset building. There we go. Now we have the crosshair tool that works on the edit page. You can change the width as well as the color. I don't know if I'll add that to the pack, but if you guys want it, let me know. I can send it on over. See, most of the effects on the page, they've been updated and are new. Is your light version affected by this as well? Yes, it is. If you go to the light page on my website, it shows you which ones are updated. Trying to remember now. Whip Grid, that's a new tool. That one is in the light version. It has up to 4 inputs instead of up to 6, and you can't animate them. But at least you can get the grid effect inside of the light version. Whip Zoom, that one's in there. That one's been updated. Trying to think what else now. Here, I'll just pull up the page. If we go shop and go to light. Yep, highlight's been updated, so you have all those controls. Zoom and shake have been updated, and then whip grid is new. And then yeah, if you look at the full version, you can see there's a lot of templates that are updated. But I'd argue like you pay for the pack, but with the amount of time it saves you, and I hope I've demonstrated that today, it saves me hours and hours on each video. So it easily pays for itself, especially if you're doing it in a professional setting. So yeah, if you can justify it that way, like it's really a good purchase. And of course I have to say that, but read the reviews. Chuck the crosshair thing into the presets for, oh yeah, let's do that. Discord. In the Davinci Resolve Discord server, I don't have that link down below. But if you go to my website, you can get to it right there just by clicking on that button. So under presets for Davinci Resolve, we're just going to grab this and send it. Oh, that's not right. I also want to grab a link to the stream and just add that as context. There we go. So if you want that, it's in the Davinci Resolve Discord under the Davinci Resolve presets section. So yeah, kind of fun. Do you know how to create a zoom transition like you get sucked in? Most Mr. Beast videos start like this. I actually did kind of make that on this one, actually.
I design editor.
So it just has that little like zoom out thing. But you can just do this the other way. Let me just start over, do this from scratch. So with the whip zoom tool, which you can get in the free version, bring the generator version towards the beginning and then just shrink this down just so it's like probably less than 15 frames long. Put it in the continuous mode. And then if you, depending on how you want to do it, set the end size to be 1. That way it'll end up at the right size. But at the beginning then you can zoom out or you can zoom in. So if you want to start in, you zoom way in. Otherwise, you can zoom out and set the mirrored edges to yes. So we can have that come out. Under the animation tab, you can set the easing to none on the in, and then set it to expo on the out one. And now you have this nice little zoom in effect. And then you can just add, if we come in here, you can add motion blur and maybe bring that up so it's really intense. But that way you've got your Mr. Beast like zoom in effect that he starts all of his videos with. Crosshair tool is exactly what you need. Awesome. Man, I really hate this. I don't know if that's showing up on your chat, but it's got like the heart that you can add like emoji reactions. but it blocks all the text for me, so I can't read the most recent message half the time. John says, great value, has saved you a bunch of time. Glad to hear it. That's the goal. Simon is going about as well as you expect, yep. Putting the pack to work today, that's awesome, yep. And hey, like I said, if you guys have any suggestions for the pack, any tools you want to see added, features, if you find bugs, which we found one today, let me know about it. We'll get them fixed, get stuff added that'll work well in the pack. Yeah. If there's any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I think we'll wrap the stream up. It's been a fun one today. Everyone's coming in at the end here, so now I kind of want to keep it going, but I've run out of content ideas. So unless you guys have something. My favorite tools in the pack are whip animate and whip text. And then I really like whip zoom as well. Just there are so many different ways you can use it, from just like the standard punch in zooms to the animated, the Mr. Beast intros and all that. Workout stream when? I think we'll just stick to the DaVinci Resolve editing streams. Yeah. Oh, fire hands, yes. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Let's see if I have that. We can maybe dive into it. The sponsor for that tutorial, we didn't get that to go through, so I kind of forgot about it because I started working on some other projects. Let's see if I still have this this project though. Oh, the media is offline. That's the effect there when I was messing around with it. So maybe I'll revisit that. It's not quite done yet because like the fire's not really moving when I move, but like I was messing around with the lighting on my face and stuff there too. So that needs some touch-up work, but yeah, that could be fun. Everything else is offline. Hey, there you go. Sponsored by Tyler Seaman, Hopes and Dreams. Oh, that's great. What machine am I running? I actually have a pretty old one now. It's a custom-built Windows that I made probably 4 years ago now. You can see all my messy projects here. I'll open that project. Let's see what I got though. So if we come over here, yeah, so I have a Threadripper 2950X, so 16 cores. Usually runs around 3 point some gigahertz. Let's see. And then 64 gigabytes of memory. I started with 32, but I push that all the time. Like right now I'm using, what is it, 26 gigabytes. And then I have a NVIDIA 2080 Ti. So it was a very powerful system when I built it, but it's starting to reach its limits now. So maybe eventually I'll have to get one of those 4090 graphics cards. The new Threadrippers just came out, but those are expensive. But yeah, we'll see. That hand on fire one, that'd be a fun one to go back to. I actually lit my hand on fire for real for that, so that was fun. I think I posted that on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, there we go. We got Tyler in this as well. Lighting the hand on fire. Can only do it for a couple of seconds, otherwise it really hurts. Yeah. Ah, okay. So now we're gonna race for the hand on fire tutorial. Tyler's gonna put one out. So go watch Tyler's video. we can compare them. See who had the more realistic fire. It'd be fun to do like a visual effects challenge with that. Setting your hair on fire. Oh, that's great. That's what your tutorial can be. Like start with a wig and then light your hair on fire. That'd be funny. All right. Well, yeah, I think that's going to end it for the stream today. So thanks everyone for stopping by. If you have any questions, go and reach out to me on Discord, email, whatever works. But yeah, happy editing. Hope you guys enjoy the editor collection update. And if you have any, I should switch back to the full screen cam here. Not that good at streaming. But yeah, anyways, have any questions, let me know, and you guys have a good rest of your day. So we'll see you later.